Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Need to Nerd. I'm your host, Spencer, and I am joined by my co-host, Wes Singleton.
Hey, it's a good evening. How are you?
Michael Merrill.
Hello.
And Mason Clark.
Time is an illusion of the mind.
You know
Actually, lunchtime is doubly an illusion.
Wait, do you not eat lunch?
It's a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference.
You know who will never not understand your references is our sponsor, Crystal Elliott Designs. You can check them out
Boom! That's the one I've heard ever.
Facebook at Crystal Elliott Designs. Check them out. They are amazing. If you need Twitch stuff, if you need logos, if you need emotes, anything like that, they're going to hook you up. They're going to give you a great price. Check them out. You can also check us out on Patreon at Heezy Game Media on Patreon. Heezy Game Media is the YouTube channel that we post all this content to, as well as HeezyGameMedia.com. And then you can also check out Michael's YouTube channel at Elsket Films, where they're working on some short films. And then you got 2 new videos up this week, Michael. You're making YouTube content every day, what seems like every day right now.
No, not every day. That would kill me. No, it's about... we try and get up 1 video a week, but sometimes it's like every other week, depending on how big the video is and how much we have to work to get it done. But yeah, we just today put up... we just did a whole new logo animation for our company, and so we put that up.
I was going to hit you up to do some stuff for me, because that looked cool.
Yeah, it took a little bit of time and figuring out, because I am not native to Illustrator or any of those other programs, so I kind of just Google how to do it, and then I spend 5 to 6 hours figuring it out, and then I'll spend another 5 or 6 hours actually doing it.
That's totally fair. Well, don't forget to check out, you can find the links to everything wherever you're listening in the show notes for wherever you are. So thank you so much to everybody that's here and to our sponsor. Let's get into this week, though. This week we're talking about gaming, we're talking about movies, TV, and we're talking about nerd culture, because that's what this podcast is about, Mason. So with that being said, we're going to lead on you, nerd culture, and us. What is your number 1 in nerd culture this week?
I wanted to cheat, but I decided not to. I was going to cheat, not make it about There Will Be Blood, but make it about our friend Autumn. I wanted to talk about...
That could be your number 1.
Yeah,
it absolutely should be.
All right, that's what all right, just making sure. All right, so for those of you that don't play the game Magic the Gathering, recently this past weekend, there's something called the Mythic Championship, which is one of 4 big tournaments. Think of it like a Grand Slam if you know tennis, or a major open for golf. There are other ones. That's right. There's 6 actually. My bad. I forgot they changed it this year on us. Thank you, Wes. And our friend Autumn actually won it this past weekend, and I had the honor and pleasure to be there when they won. And they're actually the first non-male person to win one of these events. So, honestly, it's huge and life-changing. And I didn't cry when Autumn won. I was just so happy for them. But when we were waiting on the trophy to be presented to Autumn, a mom and a little girl came up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Do you think Autumn would mind if they signed our card for my daughter?" And then that led to a bunch of other little girls lining up, and that's the moment when I cried. And it was just it's a moment where some people say representation doesn't matter in media, and just things of that nature. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't matter that there's not a black guy in this movie. It doesn't matter there's not a female lead in an action movie or whatever. And it's just another example of no, these things matter, and no, these kind of things can change lives. And that's just one small example, and I could give 100 more just in the 2 hours after they won. Not even since then. So
I think that I'm gonna jump on this one too. It's not. Yeah. I actually knew it was gonna be your number 1, so it wasn't gonna be mine.
Okay.
But Autumn is just an amazing person.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that says somebody who was raised in a religious family but very conservative is, for a long time I didn't get stuff, and I didn't understand that I was taught things that I don't believe anymore. But I think one of the things that really has stood out to me is human beings inherently feel different. They feel lost. They feel unaccepted. They feel all of those things. And I sent Autumn a message letting them know that I think that what they did is bigger than they realize.
Yeah. I've tried to tell them that a couple times before they even won, and I had to tell them a couple times like right after they won, including that moment. It actually grabbed Autumn and showed Autumn, like, because Autumn was talking to Emma for a second and just kind of in disbelief, trying to figure out their flight. And I was like, you literally have like 7 little girls lined up who want you to sign their cards.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we had a conversation that went deeper than that, but yeah.
Yeah, and I just like I think that not only does representation matter, somebody who's married to a black woman and like has learned a lot about that issue. I think that it matters across multiple things. There's actually as somebody who suffers from a severe mental disorder, like I've talked about how I relate to Deku in a way that I've never related to another character before. As somebody born with a birth defect, that just. I hope that Autumn knows that their difference, and winning being different is a good thing, and it makes other people who are different feel like that being different it's not, everyone's different, and so yeah, it meant a lot to watch, and it was a thing of beauty to first of all to just watch them play all weekend.
Yeah, their play was immaculate to say the least, and yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm going to talk about that a lot, I'm sure, in the next couple of weeks. But, just the impact that they're going to have, and it's impossible to know, before Autumn, there was only one other non-male person to ever top 8 at least one open non-male person to ever top 8 a PT, and the name Melissa Del Toro. And Autumn, in their winter interview, talked about how, like, Melissa's inspired me to be here, and I think if Melissa hadn't done what she did, I wouldn't be here. And the secret is that there's like another Autumn out there, and they heard that, and when they win like Worlds or back to back or whatever, they're going to reference Autumn, and I don't think Autumn's going to get it until that moment. Yeah. So
kind of big, like I remember when Huey Jensen came out, and like the number, like I had people in our Utah community that mentioned to me like this means a lot to me, like I've been gay in Utah playing Magic for a long time, and this is really reassuring that like that this exists. So and Autumn referenced that too. So yes, major shout out to them. They crushed it this weekend.
From my perspective, it was a total blast to watch, and one of the things that really marked me was the Twitter energy pouring that was going like well before Autumn had made the finals. People were like, this is what I want. This is what I hope happens. And it was so nice to see all of those wishes and hopes and dreams confirmed as well.
Yeah, if you're a member of the Heezy Game Media Discord, for example, the Discord that supports, the part of this podcast, and you're like, you would probably, and you were in the Magic the Gathering channels, you like definitely saw people supporting them.
Yeah, like in between rounds, I was sitting with another person that plays Magic named Emma, and like coverage team members and people would come up to us and be like, we're not supposed to have a favorite, but like we're rooting for Autumn, let Autumn know that people are there. Like, yeah, like players came up, like it was, it was great to say the least. So but I think everyone wanted Autumn to win. Like I think even the Japanese players wanted Autumn to win, if we're being honest. So it was meant to be.
That was really exciting.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. We're gonna. I feel like Wes and I are just gonna share this one, so we'll go next.
Sure.
Because I think that our number one in nerd culture, even though we have a gaming segment following this, is still the Pokemon announcement of Pokemon Sword and Shield.
That's so exciting.
It's amazing. Last week West and I did an episode on the greatest generation of Pokemon ever in Gen 3, and
your words, not mine.
And Gen 8 is here. It's crazy to think that we're in that we're in this world.
I swear to God, Gen 3 was yesterday.
If you flip 3 on itself, it's an 8. So you can only assume that it's twice as good as Gen 3 was.
Let me put it this way: 2003, when Ruby and Sapphire came out, was a time marker of passage that I have been using for years. Like, wow, it's been 10 years since that.
Yeah.
Or 15, or right now we're sitting at 16.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So for those who don't know, Pokemon Sword and Shield is coming. They announced the starter Pokemon in this game, which we'll get to in a second. This is we're taking place in England this time, or at least in Great Britain.
Because of Autumn's victory.
That it must be.
Yeah.
And if we think about recently, we just came off a Hawaii based game. And
The one before that was
Paris.
France.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that was gorgeous. Like
absolutely adorable.
for a Pokemon game, that was like really sweet. So I just kind of looking at the footage from this, getting to see, England will be sweet. And none of them are based upon the U.S., right?
Well, no, Black and White New York was being copied with the big city in the middle.
That's why it's the worst.
That's probably true.
Because New York is the worst.
I mean, that city was really impressive.
Sure.
There was other parts of the game that I've got complaints about.
But let's talk about this really quick. Scale 1 to 10. How excited are you, Wes?
I'm a 10. I'm a full 10. I've been thinking about this all day. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to have this get me back into competitive Pokemon because that happens every new gen.
I think that I might actually try. Like, I've never wanted to go to a tournament before. I've never even practiced doubles. I've never looked at a moveset in my life.
But taking a switch to a tournament sounds so nice.
It just sounds like the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a 10 as well. Like, I think this is the most excited I've been for a Switch game so far.
Yeah, well, I bought the Switch when I did, knowing that this is when I would feel like, yes, I bought the Switch. You're smart because you would have done it right now otherwise.
Yeah. And you got to enjoy Zelda. So let's
I
talk
played
about
Breath of the Wild before I got the Switch, fortunately.
let's talk about the Powerpuff Girls really quick. We have. Did you see our tweet, by the way, Mason or West?
Oh yeah, that tweet is fantastic. I showed that to many people the moment I saw it.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you to anybody watching from that tweet. We really appreciate it. I believe the originator of the Powerpuff Girls image is in the first comment on the tweet, and I retweeted it. Let's start with Blossom. Mason.
Blossom is Score Bunny, the best, the goat.
So tell me about Score Bunny. What is Score Bunny?
Chespin.
So I haven't looked into things. I just know what Score Bunny looks like.
Yeah, it's
Score
the
Bunny's
fire.
the
It's
best.
the fire starter. That's all you had to say.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like talk about it more, and I'm like, I just know it's the best one
The same face as Chespin.
with empirical knowledge.
You
Actually, just a Chespin.
That's cool. Way to compare one thing I love to another and pit them against each other and let it set Score Bunny be Score Bunny. Wes, stop trying to take Score Bunny down because
okay.
you're sad and
Just you wait until I call the water starter Rowlet. So
what's the water one called, Spencer?
Sobble.
Yeah.
Don't be such a sobble, West. Be more like Score Bunny.
Yeah. So Sabo's next. It's like an aquatic lizard. Is it a salamander?
It's like a chameleon, right? Because it's like it went clear with the water.
I think that
Like in the trailer.
chameleon is the idea just from shape. However, I can't help but want to see my buddy Terramander all over that thing.
Okay.
Sobble Terramander alter. Sobble art alter of Terramander.
Oh man, I mean, if it grows up to have wings, like,
Or a balloon on its back.
oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I think Sobble, this is my least favorite part about Pokemon Sword and Shield for what it's worth. I think that for what it's worth, like, I just don't like the depression meme. I don't think it's funny. So
Yeah, that's true. That's a direction to take it. However, I think it's pretty cute.
I think he's just a little anxious fella. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, he'll figure it out.
Representation with anxiety matters, Spencer.
Yeah,
Just wait.
No,
until
that's good. I have anxiety. I get it.
Fully evolved Sobble knows everything to all of the things. Actually, just an Alakazam.
He's just hiding. There's a bunny lighting shit on fire. Like, what do you expect? I'm just saying. And then there is the actual goat of the new starters.
Yeah, sorry, Mason, you're outnumbered here.
We have West.
Grookey.
Yes.
The little monkey grass starter.
Yeah, I think that this is. So I'm not like one of the I just pick Pokemon because they're cute, but this is actually the cutest starter of all time. Like.
Whoa.
No,
I have a number one, but that's okay.
this starter is the cutest, and I am so excited to see their evolutions. I hope they don't do them dirty like they did Infernape, because that was not a cute Pokemon. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty rad. I'm hoping that the obligatory fighting starter gets thrown to grass this time.
I want Scorbunny to be electric fire because it's
That
got
would
all
be
that
awesome.
energy.
I actually think that would be so dope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no complaints if that happens.
Doesn't Scorbunny look very kinetic, like they're moving?
There's only one problem with that.
Do
I
you hate fun
sincerely
things?
doubt. No, I just sincerely doubt that Nintendo would make a starter that's off type is super effective against the one it's supposed to be weak against.
No, it's fine.
I don't think
Matt-
it's fine. I think it's something that they just won't do.
What is
They haven't done it yet.
Isn't Charizard X isn't Dragon resistant to I guess it's not resistant to water.
Yeah, Mega Charizard X does take normal damage from water types. That is true, but I don't think that
Okay, that's what I thought.
that doesn't. I mean, but neither does like Sceptile take super effective damage from fire types. Like just adding Dragon to a starter just ruins the whole dynamic because Dragons resists all three.
It's fine. It's fine. All right. So we're excited about this game. We're excited about the starters. We'll get more into that later. I think that's just like huge news. I think that you know, I don't think anybody when Pokemon came out was like, this is gonna be a 25-year amazingness that it is.
Spencer, we both love dearly, and Mason, some things that have lasted 25 years against all expectations.
It's true.
Yep. The Patriots.
Michael, what was your number one in nerd culture this week?
So for me, it was probably the Oscars happened on Sunday, so obviously that's like big thing to talk about right now with film. But rather than like all the normal talk around like Bohemian Rhapsody and stuff, for nerd culture, like the fact that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse beat out 2 Disney movies. I mean, technically it's Marvel, but like
2 Pixar movies
2
too.
Pixar like big movies to win Best Animated Feature is so awesome. Like that was such a big thing, and I loved that movie. That was my favorite just superhero movie of the year. Like I love Infinity War, but like just as an experience of just going to the theater and having so much fun and watching like a pure comic book movie, that was definitely the best.
I think that's also what it felt like. They did a really good job of not making it a Marvel movie, not making it like a superhero genre movie, but like making it a comic book movie. Like it felt that way, and it was really cool to kind of. I mean, I'm sure you know this, Michael. But like, it was kind of cool to follow the stuff after the movie when they talk about how its creation process, because that animation is brand new. Like that's a new style of animation that's never been done before in film. And like they talked about like how do we make people look like when they're running? Is like when you invent a new style of animation, that's a thing that comes up. Like, how do these characters look when they're running? And like following that kind of stuff was really cool for me as somebody who really enjoys like animated stuff. So
Process stories.
Yeah, it's definitely really, really cool to learn like how they did it and the fact that they're being experimental, which is really cool. From like a personal filmmaker perspective, I'm not a big fan of that animation style and the frame cutting to kind of give it that choppier look. It fits with that film, and that is literally the only film I'll ever see that probably I'll be okay with seeing that kind of technical experimentation in, because it fit it so well. But I don't want to see that kind of becoming copied and popularized, though, just because there's just some filmmaking things with that bother me. But like the fact that the movie was so amazing that it didn't detract at all, even though it's not a style of animation that I am particularly fond of, like it was still so amazing that I just didn't even care. It was just a really, really fantastic superhero movie, a great like origin story, while being very like meta about origin stories, and how they did that was so cool. Yeah, like I said, I'm renting it tonight just to watch it because it's so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I also just think that like Spider-Man winning an Oscar. I think Spider-Man is my second favorite superhero behind Deku. Like, and like as far as like American, superheroes, like Miles is a nice. It was so refreshing. Like,
Yeah.
like I love Peter Parker. Like I love Peter Parker. I love Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker. I love Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. I love all the Peter Parkers. But I was so ready for it not to be Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and they did a really great job with like still kind of like carrying people along who didn't know who Miles Morales was and who aren't into the comic books, and telling that story just like in a really unique way, so that the people who all they know of Spider-Man is like the basic Peter Parker, Mary Jane type stuff, like they give you enough of that to get you into the movie, and then, but it's not, they don't detract from Miles's story by going off and doing all these other characters, which is something that's really hard to do, and you see a lot of movies fail at. Which
I also think that like setting it in the Tobey Maguire universe was pretty sweet. So like knowing that you're watching basically Spider-Man 4. Did you guys know that when you were watching it? Was anyone else
because
catch-
they show in the beginning.
Right, they show that you're like all of the major Toby sequences.
Yeah.
And so they set you up. I talked to two people who were like, wait, I was like, what do you think the opening scene was? But yeah, so they set you up knowing you're in Toby's universe, and when you do that, you're like, okay, that's sweet. So then when the other Spider-Man comes in, you like instantly realize that's not Tobey Maguire. So yeah.
Well, also like it's weird because that's like clearly the thing, and then spoiler. I'm gonna say this: one of the villains is clearly different. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's fair to say that this is a spoiler podcast. You can just say which.
Sure. So Doc Ock is a female and alive in this one,
Right.
and in that thing they're dead male.
It's not set in the Tobey Maguire universe. That's why I said it felt that way, because it hints that that's the universe, but it takes its own creative freedom.
I thought that person was not actual Doc Ock though.
No, she says my friends call me Octavia or something like that.
Yeah, there are a couple different things where they took existing characters or existing like references and stuff to the Tobey Maguire films, but they don't. I think it's supposed to be like another like kind of alternate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That is what I thought. If you know, leave it in the comments, because I'm sure knowing comic book fans, somebody knows out there. But yeah, I agree. Huge shout out to first of all to Sony for like giving Spider-Man to Marvel and then doing this, and like I think it was like, I mean, I loved Amazing Spider-Man, but like this was something special.
Yeah, and I'm sure. I mean, with how massively successful it was, like there's definitely another one coming, and I can't wait to see what they do with it, because I'm sure, I mean, every sequel risks like falling into the same, like, let's just do the same thing but a little different. Whereas I think this has the most potential to like literally do anything that they want. Especially with like how the film wraps up, and then the little like end credits tag, which is hands down the 1950s or 60s Spider-Man that it goes back to. And he just has a conversation with himself at the end credits is my favorite end credit scene of any end credits. Like just that back and forth was fantastic. Yeah, so I'm definitely stoked for that. And then the other thing with the Oscars was like Black Panther obviously won three Oscars for best original score, best production design, and best costume design, which are all really awesome. And I think pretty well deserved. So that's awesome that like just genre movies and specifically comic book movies are kind of getting a little bit more recognition.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, The Lion King is a great film, and it totally deserved it in its first live action, adaptation. Come on, that was funny. That was funny.
I don't even understand what that was like.
Oh, you haven't seen the meme? I'll post the meme.
No, I'm not.
In the show notes.
They're very similar stories. Like, take a moment to think about it. And then when you think about it, it's like, oh, his dad dies, and his cousin comes and takes over his kingdom.
It's fine. It's cute. But like legitimately, as someone who's married into an African American family, it actually was. It was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, and like speaking of like also just seeing like Spike Lee hug Samuel Jackson was like the happiest thing in the world.
Absolutely.
That was adorable.
Absolutely. Let's get into gaming. There's quite
Pew pew pew.
there's quite a bit of gaming going on. But let's go into like what games we play and what games we excited about. We'll start with you again, Mason.
I'm still just playing Resident Evil 2. I haven't got to play it much since like I was last on the show, but I've played it like in another 2 or 3 hours, and it's still really cool. Like the puzzle's cool. The remake, I never played the original, but I've kind of looked up some, and like they've done a good job of taking that original framed camera, game and taking it into like a live action 3D world. So it's been a really sweet remake. I've been enjoying it. But that's it. I've been super busy with some new stuff in life and traveling and everything, so I just haven't had to really play much. I haven't even played much Magic, so yep.
Is there a game that you're excited about to come out, or?
I mean Pokemon, but I can't think of there was a Nintendo Direct and there was something I was hype about. Oh, Mario Maker 2. That's gonna be the stuff.
Thought I was gonna say you were talking about you'd like.
I completely. I mean, a lot's happened in the last week, as you know. So I've been kind of crazy. Yeah. So Mario Maker 2 is coming out. Mario Maker was a game I actually never played, but watched a lot of, and as a really big Mario fan, like thought about buying a Wii U for just that, and I decided no, like that's just not worth it. But now that I own a Switch, this is like a pretty cool thing. But basically, the premise of the game is you play and or make Mario levels, and they're all fan made. And they give you all the tools to do it, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's an awesome game.
I didn't get to play Mario Maker because I didn't have a Wii U either, but like I really enjoyed the video, so that's one that should be sweet.
Yeah, I'm gonna challenge Spencer to a video, make him record it, and put it on YouTube. And then
you're gonna make an impossible level for me.
No, I'm gonna make like a pretty easy level, but I'm gonna do one thing that's very annoying, like music, and make you have to deal with it the whole time.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
Michael, any games that you're excited about? I know you're super busy, so you might not be playing a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, when I play video games, it's usually just like an hour when I need to like unwind, or at the end of the night when it's like, okay, I'm totally burned out for filmmaking stuff. So, yeah, like I mostly just like will hop into a battle royale game because the matches are like perfectly timed.
Which battle royale games do you like?
Lately I've just been playing Apex Legends, and I play like Fortnite is just the most mindless, dumb fun in the world, and I love it. It's so stupid, and I absolutely love that game. Like just I'm not somebody who's a social gamer either. I used to be, but like I usually just am playing on my own, and so it's a really easy game just to like jump in. Whereas like Apex is a way better game, but you have to be in a squad for it.
I've heard nothing but good things about Apex. So
yeah, it's incredible. Like they've been smart and done the Amazon strategy of like wait for all the other ones to come out and see what they do wrong, and then just come in and make. I mean, not perfect, but pretty close to perfect battle royale game. They've
been working on that game for 3 years now, actually.
Yeah,
like before PUBG was even a thing.
But you know what happened with so Fortnite was supposed to come out before PUBG, and then released after PUBG and adjusted their game because of PUBG.
Well, they changed the game. Technically, the OG Fortnite's still around, but OG Fortnite's like a survival wave-based game,
right?
Like kind of like horde mode,
right?
And yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
And that's when I actually started. Like, I got early access on Fortnite and started playing the horde-based mode, which I always was fun, but not great. And then when the Battle Royale came out, it was just like I've never spent $1 on it, but like it's just fun to
Who doesn't like killing
jump in and
zerglings?
mindless. Yeah, right. It's just
a
like
good time.
it's just that it's like the easiest Battle Royale out there, but it's also like not clunky and janky, and you know they do have some. There's a lot of like movie references and stuff like that, so that I always get a kick out of that for sure.
I'll get it. Is Apex Legends on the Switch yet?
No.
No, it's PC and
It's free to play though, Spencer.
yeah,
But where does it free on?
Everything.
except
Like Xbox, PC,
All right.
PS4.
What I'm saying is, we can do an Apex Legends video. I will.
You should do Smite.
Nah, I'm not doing that. But
Why do you want to play MOBA? You were talking about playing League of Legends. Smite's on your Switch for free.
for free, maybe I'll try.
Yeah.
But no,
Alright.
I'll do I would love to do a video for the viewers to show how bad I am at this stuff. So we got 2. Anybody else? We need one more.
Yeah, Pokemon. Don't worry, it's coming.
I'll get one of these guys wrangled in.
There will definitely be a Pokemon video once that comes out.
West, what are you excited about in gaming? What are you playing?
So I've been mostly running it back on games. I've been playing a little bit of Stardew Valley. I've been playing a little bit of Slay the Spire. Interestingly, I've had an awesome gaming moment from Magic in the last week or so that's made me really excited, in that I found a deck in Pauper, which is a Magic format all about playing common cards. So it's both really cheap and there is a lot of history in this game, in this format. And I've been playing a Disciple of the Vault deck that just like throws a lot of artifacts in a graveyard and says, "I'll destroy your face." It's been really fun.
Bop, 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 bop. Shoot him up.
Yeah, Scrapyard Salvo for the win.
Poof. That's the way Magic was meant to be played.
How is that a video game?
I just went
Magic-
there anyways.
All right,
Magic Online is the best video game I've ever
it's like
played.
the worst video game.
Yeah, I've been playing it only in paper, so it really isn't a video game.
Wow, I went to your back, West, and you stabbed me.
Yeah, I know. I like to let my actions stand on their own.
All right,
We're gonna move on from
that.
the fact that West is a liar, and I'll talk about So for me, I've been playing a ton of stuff, but I want to talk about specifically. I said I was gonna try and get better at fighting games. I think on episode 1 of this podcast, and I've been playing a ton of DBZ Fighter. And so not Mason. Wow. If he hears this, he's gonna be so mad. But Manny brought over his Super Nintendo, the classic, and we played Street Fighter. And I won like 7 matches in a row on Street Fighter, because like as people were like trying to figure out fighting games again. And I was like, oh man, like I know it's like not the same, but like this stuff that I'm doing with DBZ Fighter is transferring over here. I'm figuring out the combos way quicker than people, stuff like that, and it was really fun and rewarding, and it makes me want to try Smash.
Yeah, Smash is awesome.
I haven't touched Smash in like a month, and I've been feeling pretty bad about that. I need to get back to it.
Yeah.
my brother ruined Smash for me.
Oh,
Like
wow.
as soon as it came out, Spencer knows my brother Jonathan, and he's on the autism spectrum, and so when he gets obsessed with things, he gets real obsessed with them. And when Smash first came out, that was like the only game that he was good at, and got just like super obsessed with it. And so anytime, like the only video game he would play or talk about, or if I was playing video games, he would come in and be like, "Oh, what are you doing? Playing video games? Oh, let me tell you about Smash." And I'm like, "Dude, I watch you play Smash all day long. I don't like." And it just got to the point. And I'm terrible at fighting games, so like immediately it was not something that I got super into. But it is really fun when everyone's drunk and playing at a party. That's when I love playing Smash.
All right, I gotta tell a story on this podcast. So if you guys are listening to this podcast from Constructive Criticism, you might know of Matt Kling. So a lot of the hosts of Constructive Criticism did things before they played Magic. So for example, I was a sponsored airsofter, and then I played basketball all day long. Matt Kling was a semi-professional Halo player. So a fun thing that we did at parties is we would sucker people, and like Matt would I would bet against people if they could get 1 kill on Matt. and I won a lot of money this way.
That's some sharking for sure.
It was so funny because like people were like, I'm great at Halo. The only person I ever lost money to, I think, was Austin Goltz. So
Yeah, well, I think part of that is the tendency of anyone who plays any game for a while. The longer they play the game, the more they know they're bad at it. And so if like all you like play against is like your 4 friends and you win a lot at Halo, you're like, I'm great at Halo. I'm even good online. And then like someone who like really like plays like a high level of a game just smushes. And like you're like, oh, I realize now.
the best part about shooter games is people need warm-up rounds. So like this is pretty common upon like professional shooter games, is people will need warm-up rounds, so they'll play them before they actually play their events. So we would actually let people play against Matt. So I would let people play against Matt the first time Matt was playing, and I was like, hey, I'll bet you can't get a kill on him next game. And they'd say yes. And I'm like, you're so dumb.
Oh my goodness.
It's great. But no, so one of my goals is to get better at fighter games and shooter games kind of in this last year. So between Mass Effect, I played Red Dead for an hour today and didn't get shot once. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm getting better at shooter games. And I don't know, it's been fun. It's been a cool one. So, all right, let's move on to everybody's favorite topic, movies and TV. Wes, we'll start with you. What are you excited about movies and TV this week?
I am excited to see an adorable rendering of a scarily realistic Bulbasaur. I cannot wait for the Detective Pikachu movie. I think that while there's a lot of Uncanny Valley going on in it, there's also a whole lot of fun. Like, just watching the trailers, like, it looks like a world where Pokemon are just in it. Like, and it's, like, well thought out, and, like, people are living actual lives, doing actual things, and there's Pokemon, and they're everywhere. And they're in the marketing, they're in the signs, they're, like, I don't know. It's so cool to see someone's vision of a world where Pokemon totally exists, and it's not 30 steps to get from one city to the other. Like, I'm just super excited about that.
Is anyone else upset that it's in Sinnoh?
No.
No.
Sinnoh is a fine region to set things.
Why?
Also, it makes a lot more Pokemon available to them.
But like, but there's Greninjas in here.
Oh yeah. I'm far less upset with having Gen 7 Pokemon, Gen 6 Pokemon in Sinnoh than I am at seeing more new Pokemon than old Pokemon in Kanto, and I think that that's something they know about their player base or their fan base.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I kind of had wished that they had done it in the Gen 7 region. But,
Oh, in Alola?
or sorry, Gen 6.
Oh, sure. I mean, they could set it in France, but then you have to flavor it as France, right? Like, here
It
that
would
they
be
get
like
to
this.
do just
No.
random city, and this was the most advanced
That's fair.
region that didn't have a theme of a
That's fair. Of a real place.
actual real world place.
That's fair. I accept that. I've changed my stance on this. No,
I want the Alaska Pokemon set.
that
I want
makes
my
sense.
Charmander to keep me alive. I want my Pikachu to get my generator running. That's what I'm about.
you know
But-
you're referencing an episode of the anime, right?
I am. Yes,
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
The Snow Cave episode? Yeah.
I need Bulbasaur to plant food so I survive. I want a survival Pokemon game.
You're lucky. Well,
Martian with Pokemon.
Exactly.
No, Detective Pikachu looks sweet. Does anybody else just love that Ryan Reynolds is like? This is
Oh,
the
of course.
dude.
he's
goes
such
off,
a mouthy person.
He's like, he goes off his like probably most successful couple of years in a row, and he's like, you know what I want to do? I want to play a Pikachu.
I bet he's doing it for his daughters. Honestly, I've heard of other actors doing that too. Where like they take a role because their daughters really love that character.
That's
I think that, I mean, that's possible, but I think this one is just one where he was like, yeah, this is just fun. Like, this is,
So-
it's like, and weirdly, like, if somebody had told me, like, Ryan Reynolds before I actually, like, heard him playing it, it probably would have turned me off a bit. But, like, I would not expect him
it such a
to like
secret.
pull off a voice of Pikachu and then to hear him actually voice with the animated character. I was like, okay, I can see this. That's okay.
Legitimately, that was the best kept secret ever. Because they, first of all, no one was like talking about this film before that first trailer, and then it comes out, and you hear, and like no one knows that Ryan Reynolds' voice is about to happen, and then it happens, and you're like, wait, what? Was that right? I literally text. I don't know if I text you, Mason. I texted people. I was like, "Is this real? Like, is this like a real trailer? Is this a real?" I think I did text you, Mason.
I think you did too.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if this is a real thing. And then,
Well, we did know that he was going to voice Detective Pikachu before the trailer hit. That was announced. Oh yeah, that was announced a little bit before.
I didn't know, and I'm like,
It wasn't marketed, but it was.
There you go.
Like, it was in the trades, and there were a few headlines about it.
Well, either way,
Hey, I'm not done yet.
Oh,
You're trying to wrap out my bit.
no, I wanted to talk about. Okay, go ahead.
I want to talk about that Liquid Town.
Part of Ryan Reynolds like playing Pikachu is so awesome is that they just write this Pikachu like, and this is true of any time an animal gets to talk, is they just can't stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
But like Ryan Reynolds is like this like quick, snappy, witty actor, and it's like totally perfect for like a small character who like has a big personality that just like talks nonstop, and he's just so excellent in that role. But I'm dreadfully terrified of that Mr. Mime.
Do you, Wes, when you saw the second trailer, were you more or less excited than the first trailer?
They put Bulbasaur in it. That was really all they needed to get me.
Bulbasaur was walking in the first trailer.
But like they really focus on Bulbasaur in this one. And like I don't know and like on Twitter I follow like this Bulbasaur propaganda page, and like they're talking it up the whole time, and like it's just fun to participate in Bulbasaur hype because I've been doing it for a while.
Is Bulbasaur propaganda?
He's gonna go join this Facebook group now.
This is a good point.
It's on Twitter.
You think about it for a second, and it all makes sense.
No, what I was gonna say is like, I think I also text Mason this. Like, I didn't know this is the movie I wanted, and I think the same thing about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Like, this is just not the movie that I knew I wanted, and that's just what makes a great film. It's like, now that I've seen the trailer, it's like this is all I want in the whole world.
Yeah, they did a really good job with like the setup of it, of like that dynamic of like it would only work with Ryan Reynolds, I think, of just having this like snappy, like taking advantage. He knows that nobody else can hear him, and he can only talk to this one kid. Like in that first trailer, the conversation that they have, like it just is. It reminds me a lot of like kind of that comedic detective kind of.
The only person I can think of,
like Shrek or Donkey. It's just like this, like.
Did we just compare this to Shrek? Did that just happen?
It's a positive.
No, just
comparison.
like the dynamic between the main characters of how like it's not a typical. Well, I mean, thanks to Shrek, it now has been, but like it's not a more typical comedy duo. Where they're just like completely against each other, like they're polar opposites. You see that a lot in particularly like bad comedies, where it's like they just made them polar opposites and now they're stuck together and let's see what happens. Versus this is like he's got attitude, but he's still like he knows he's got to be sweet, and there's that like that Ryan Reynolds adorable, like he knows. That he's using his looks and his cuteness. Yeah, the same thing with Deadpool. I'm sure there's a word that described all that better than my long rambling answer.
So you were saying that no one could do it except Ryan Reynolds, and I was like, if I had like if Ryan Reynolds couldn't do it for whatever reason, who would I choose? And Charlie Day.
Yes.
I'd want him.
Yeah,
I'd want him to be Pikachu.
I could see Charlie Day. I could definitely see Charlie Day. I feel like it would be less of like a confident like suave and more of like this like panicked like what's going on.
It would be really good at the beginning, right? When like he's like lost his memory, like those scenes would be really strong.
Confused Charlie Day is truly a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
That said, I think that like Ryan Reynolds is like on the cusp of like just really wanting to drive the whole script into like the gutter, as it were. I feel like Charlie Day would double that influence.
Oh, for sure. Also, Pikachu cussed.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. This is clearly not a movie for new Pokemon. Like this is this is our Pokemon movie.
Yeah. I'm ready to take my little brothers to it and see what they think about it. You know what I mean? Because I think they'll like it because it's Pokemon, or whatever. But I'm curious if like they'll enjoy it, if that makes sense.
But it's separate enough that newcomers can still come in and watch it and enjoy it, because it definitely doesn't seem like the other Pokemon movies where like you kind of need to know what's going on,
or at least enjoy like looking at Pokemon. This one seems like pretty people based, and like the only Pokemon it seems like it leans on heavily is the one with the biggest name and face recognition in the entire world.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's Scorbun.
Yes,
You got the name wrong.
said.
You thought it's the goat, but you got the name wrong.
Yeah.
Scorbunny. Although I like Bun. Bun's a funny word.
My Scorbunny decided to change their name to that, and I respect their decision.
That's fine. That's fine.
Not like you, who's trying
Also,
to put my
if
Scorbunny
you
in a
don't-
Pokeball and put it on the
It's
shelf
fine.
of what you think a Scorbunny is.
If you don't screenshot you nicknaming your Scorbunny Scorbun, I don't believe you.
I don't have to prove anything to you because me and Scorbunny know.
No, I want to just wrap this up with my prediction for this movie. I think his dad is dead and got reincarnated as that Pikachu.
Do you want me to tell you the answer since I know it, since
No.
it's based on a game? Okay.
No, I don't.
All right, I'm not going to tell you.
I have not played the game.
I haven't either. I just
They
wanted
already
to
did that
I
plot
could have
in
figured it
Pokemon.
out.
They already did that plot in Pokemon with Entei.
Yeah, that one's.
Wow. I hadn't seen that one yet. Like, real talk, I hadn't seen it.
You've
That was
had,
actually a
you've had
surprise.
like
See Pokemon?
15 years, maybe, even more.
I saw the first movie. It was good.
Speaking of the first movie, let's go to mine in film. We have a remake of Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, coming out, and I'm really excited for it. This is one that I'm excited for, and the trailer's only in Japanese right now, so we're kind of waiting for the English release. I'm hoping this gets an English release. One of the things that has happened with Pokemon movies recently is they're releasing them in Japan a lot earlier. If you look at something like My Hero Academia, we see that these releases get we get released episodes just as quickly as everybody else, and the movie came out the same day. And that was Dragon Ball Z. It came out really quickly after for America for My Hero. But yeah, I'm excited for this Pokemon movie. I actually think Pokemon the first movie is actually really good for an animated film, so I'm excited to see this remake. And yeah, it will not win an Oscar.
Obviously.
It's
Not being American film is already damning.
Yeah. Let's move on to you, Michael. What is the movie you're most excited for? Or what are you watching right now on TV?
So probably, I mean, Captain Marvel comes out next week, and that looks at least decent. It looks like the normal Marvel standard, you know. I don't think it'll be amazing, but I think it'll at least be like fun and enjoyable. So looking forward to that. And then like Into the Spider-Verse, which we talked about, comes out I think like today or yesterday on digital. So like that is pretty awesome. And then I'm trying to think of any other like more immediate news in film right now. Sorry, I'm also like super exhausted, like the rest of you guys, like, super busy.
That's okay.
But I mean, going back to another like thing with the Oscars, I think something not necessarily favorite, but like probably the thing that got me the most worked up this week was an Oscar snub, which was A Quiet Place, which I absolutely adore that movie, and I think it got kind of robbed. It was nominated for Best Sound Editing, but I think it should have been nominated and won Best Sound Mixing. There's a key difference between like so if you don't know the difference between sound mixing and sound editing with the Oscars is the sound editing is like recording and creating all the sounds that'll go into the movie, versus sound mixing, which is actually like layering all those sounds in and filling out the world and creating the ambiance of the film and the tone of it. And more than any other movie this year, I think A Quiet Place really used sound in a unique and powerful way. It was essential to building the world, and like the actual like it's great that it got nominated, but like also in what I feel like is the wrong category, because like great that they got those sounds, but like it was really layering everything in, and the ambiance and the tone of A Quiet Place that just really made that movie so incredible. And so I'm still a little annoyed about that.
Well, also
that's not necessarily nerd cultured film. That's just me.
Totally. Isn't an important part of that film the absence of sound at points, like the negative
exactly.
sound?
Which is like, that's why I kind of was like, why did you nominate it for best sound editing when like the whole point of that movie, like it should have been, that's why it should have been sound mixing, is because it was the craft of choosing what to use sound and when to put it in. And like, yeah, it was just one where I was like, I felt like it kind of, I mean, obviously there's this big like voting and rating system that they use, but it kind of felt like that was the one where in those categories, the voters probably were like, oh yeah, I remember A Quiet Place was that one about sound, obviously. So like we should nominate it in one of these categories, without really thinking about like, I think the film probably came out a little too early and lost some of like the buzz and stuff around it. And it just like, it should have been nominated in the sound mixing category because of how like just integral mixing was to that film, and how big of a, I think I don't want to say milestone, but like it was a really big thing for horror films, of being something that like did break out of the usual like just being relegated as a horror film, and it kind of reached a wider audience and was able to break out of that, you know, that typical stigma of like, oh, that's just a horror film.
Brought artistry to the genre.
Yeah, it brought like artistry to it. Well, I mean, I love horror films, and there are a lot of horror films that bring artistry to them, but I think this one did it in a way that like, because of how the movie played out, and it used that technical element of sound mixing to really elevate the film, and kind of that was where most of the horror came from, not necessarily in like scary monsters or lots of blood and gore. And so it was more approachable.
I thought this was a thriller, not a horror film.
I mean, horror thriller. It's definitely, you know, it's definitely something. There are a lot of subgenres to horror, and I think, I mean, anybody who watches that movie, I think, should be able to say that it is a horror film, because it is like one of the most like tense, but not just tense because like, you know, there's something dramatic going on, but true like fear for the characters' lives, and I mean, I'm not sure how to really
that's fair.
describe it, but like I think that to me, if it's in the tone and the lighting and just a bunch of different elements that like kind of, rather than just saying like, well, is it directly like blood gore horror or alien horror or whatever else, it's just like it ticks a certain number of boxes of like, I think that the tonally and everything else, it fits with a horror genre. And even if it is just like kind of a horror thriller, sci-fi thriller, however you want to classify it, it is a genre film. Sure. And genre films typically don't get that kind of recognition. So like, I was glad that it got nominated, because I didn't even think it would get any nominations since it had come out earlier in the year.
Sure.
But like, I wanted to rant for a sec, because like I really, I think that sound is something that is ignored a lot in film, and so yeah, I wanted to stand on my soapbox for a little bit there.
All right, before we move on to yours, Mason, I just want to give an anti-shout to Mason. So mine today would have been a Live Hero Academia movie, because Mason had told me that was a thing that was going to exist.
My bad.
So next week when we do our you know, we're going to do an episode on our poll that we did on the worst live adaptations of all time. And it's going to be an exciting one. You know, we had the poll.
Was Aragon the winner?
It was not the winner. We will talk about the winner next week. But it was not Aragon, even though that movie's horrible. I think the winner is Just, for what it's worth. But Mason, why you do me dirty like that, man?
I was mistaken. I misremembered the Reddit post that I saw and shared with you. I thought it was like a Chinese, like a Japanese live action movie, which they do a lot. They like take an anime that's popular and they're like, we're gonna make a movie for it, and then we're gonna also make a live action movie for it. And it's like, wait, what? Hang on, what's happening? And so that was my bad. I'm sorry to have failed you like that. I didn't mean to. But yeah, I actually just don't have a whole lot when it comes to movies. And watched Spider-Verse like 2 days ago. It was awesome. Excited to probably watch Endgame. Not going to watch Captain Marvel. Have no interest.
Dude,
I've skipped a bunch of the Marvel movies actually, and it's perfectly fine. Like I've seen them at work now and stuff. So,
dude, you were telling me how excited you were about Game of Thrones like 2 days ago.
Yeah, it's not movies though. Also, Game of Thrones
Movies
is.
and TV.
My bad. I'm so sorry. I'm hyped for Game of Thrones. I finished Gossip Girl the other day. I could say that on the show.
Yeah, finally, let's go. This
2
is what I
years.
thought.
I was right about who Gossip Girl was.
That's spoiler if
reasoning-
you've watched both episodes.
That is.
That's fine. I said this is a spoiler cast. I'll put a warning at the beginning.
That's
All
a
right.
big spoiler.
So, all
It
right.
is.
All right.
But my
I'll even
reasoning was wrong.
I'll put a big warning at the beginning. All right.
Yeah.
But also, I did not mislead you. There were
You did.
times when both
Yeah.
Jenny, or wait, is that her name?
Yeah, it's Jenny and Dan.
Jenny did
Little
write
J.
for Gossip Girl, and what's her name? Wrote for Gossip Girl when she stole the blog. So I did not lie to you one time.
At that point, I knew that Georgina had wrote though, because at that point when we were
Right,
talking,
that's
I'd seen that.
true.
Yeah. And I knew that Serena would be Gossip Girl for a bit too. I think I actually talked to you like when Serena had just got the account, was what had happened. So, yeah. It was interesting. I like the story, and I think it's one of the best like TV dramas. You know what I mean? Like serialized type dramas I've seen.
It was it's the best romantic drama. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the story of Chuck and Blair really does become like an epic. So I highly suggest it.
were you happy with it? So you had your predictions.
Yeah.
You had who you wanted Dan and Blair to end up together.
I did.
Were you happy with the ending?
Yeah, I thought it was good. You know, like Dan and Blair are still in each other's lives and they didn't get like ruined. And like Serena and Dan definitely had like a connection. And like once you see it too from the other angle of like why he did what he did, I think them being together makes a lot more sense. I will say that thought it was weird that Lily and Serena's original dad, stayed together in the end. But because they kind of set it up, it seemed to me like maybe at the end, like I don't know, I thought she might get back with Rufus, but they didn't. That's fine. They found love in their life, and everything works out in the end, except for Dorota, who wasn't there. The things I did really like, though, like Jenny goes and works, like she works for Blair later in life. That's really cool. I like that, like Lola gets to play Ivy in like basically her family story, which is like a really cool moment. Or Lola plays Serena, and then Hillary McDuff plays Ivy. I thought that was like a cool thing too. So lots of cool shout outs to the show through everything, and it was nice to see the whole cast again in the last episode. So
I just like to pour one out for Nate Archibald, the man whose story was set up but was like the worst story of all the mains. Just throw Nate to the side. He just doesn't matter.
Yeah, he did the thing they all did. And also his gossip blog is so popular it has its own private jet. I don't know if you remember that. That's how the time skip starts. They're like 5 years later, and it's the New York Spectator private jet, and he's got like a martini in hand, is like sipping as he's coming down. It's just like this gossip blog is huge. That story about Gossip Girl lasted him years.
I think the Nate story is the worst of the stories. So, all right.
It's definitely a story. It's definitely a story. That's all I was going to say.
I'm glad that you finished up Gossip Girl. Thank you for sharing that experience with me. Because, I don't have a lot of guy friends that are like, I'm going to Gossip Girl this weekend. So,
yeah.
Dude, if I'm wrong about The Bachelor, by the way, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah. I don't know. I gotta catch up on this week's episode. I'm behind.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for listening this week. We'll see you all next week with another episode of Need to Nerd, where we will be talking about the worst live action adaptations in film history. Bye.